Veranda IAS, where your dream becomes reality.
Hello everyone, welcome to the daily current affairs analysis from Veranda IAS. On 9th of May 2023, let us discuss some of the most important topics with respect to UPSC Civil Service in a mains perspective. Moving on to the first topic, the lack of a drug recall law in India. So let us see what is this news all about. So the news raises a concern about a rise of substandard drugs in the Indian market due to the lack of a centralized regulatory standards, and there is no law to recall the drugs that have already failed in tests. So now let us understand what are the reasons for this increasing drug failure in the market. So basically we can say that it is mainly because of the distorted regulatory structure. So each state have its own regulators. That is, in total in India we have almost 38 drug regulators in India, each state having its own regulator. So that is not good with respect to a union of India in order to have a kind of centralized regulation. Suppose, just imagine, in Tamilnadu one drug is being banned. What the pharmaceutical company will do, they will take this drug and will take it to some other state like that of Karnataka and Kerala, and they will sell it there. So a drug which is banned from one state can be sold in another state there. So there is no use of this kind of individual or state-wise regulatory bodies as such. Then what? Jurisdictional issues. There is no proper jurisdiction or an inconsistency with respect to the enforcement of the laws associated in creating or manufacturing of the substandard drugs. Then there is no focus on the processes. We can see that rather than focusing on each stages of the drug manufacturing or the process of manufacturing in the facilities, what we are doing, we are only focusing on the final products. That is, our complete orientation is towards medicines in the market. How many kinds of medicines are there in the market, but rather the quality, the standard, and also like whether the tests are compatible for all the kind of patients, and whether it is having some kind of bad effects or after impacts. No, it is not getting much more orientation or attention. So no attention is being given on the processes, rather our complete orientation in the system is towards the medicines that is coming in the market. Then what? The lack of transparency. So we can see that there is no transparency requirement, or there is no proper mandatory disclosures that is being given by the system or by the government as such for each of the pharmaceutical companies involved in the drug manufacturing. And most importantly, there is no law on drug recall. Suppose we are seeing, or we have found out that there is some kind of discrepancies happened, and a drug is creating some malice in the society because of its substandard nature and composition, but there is no law in which we can recall the drug from the market. That is a grave danger. But we can't say that nothing have been done so far in the India as such with respect to the recall of the drugs. There are some kind of measures have been taken. Let us see one by one. One is the Drugs Consultative Committee, or the DCC. So here, a greater cooperation between the various state drug controllers to facilitate better coordination to recall and also to destroy the drugs that fail the test is the recommendation that is made by the Drugs Consultative Committee. And in 1976, they discussed all this kind of an issue, but nothing much happened. Then comes one, a parliamentary standing committee was formed on health and family welfare. They also raised the recalling of drugs in 2012, but nothing much happened. Then we have an organization called as a Central Drug Standard Control Organization, or the CDSCO, which also propose certain guidelines. Okay, they propose certain guidelines, but it also did not materialize into particular law. So with respect to CDSCO, you should understand that it is also working under the Directorate General of Health Services under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare also. Then the Drug Controller General of India, or the DCGI, he also announced the guidelines to binding law, but it also did not materialize. What he said that all the kind of guidelines set by CDSCO is going to be made into a law which is binding on the pharmaceutical company. But did anything happen? No, nothing much did happen. And also you should understand that this Drug Controller General of India is the head of this organization called as Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Then what? Drugs Technical Advisory Board is there, called as DTAB. These all are the important organizations with respect to the drug control. So here, this Drug Technical Advisory Board is the highest statutory body in technical matters. With respect to UPSC, it's a very important point. This is the highest statutory body. Highest statutory body. So if we say that it is a highest statutory body, means it should be based on some statute or a law. So we can see that it is being formed based on a act called as the Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940. Okay, based on the Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940, the Drugs Technical Advisory Board have been formed, which is a part of the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. And also we can see that they announced they also discussed many issues with respect to the recall of drugs, but no resolution was taken so far also. Okay, yes. Now, for this, there should be some kind of a way forward. So in a mains perspective, let us understand what is the way forward for this situation. So we should also come up with public health policy that prioritizes public health over profit. So we know that India is actually a pharmaceutical hub of the world. But that doesn't mean that we should only focus or prioritize economic perspective. Rather, we should give our priority on public health over the profit, because the health of the population of a country is the most important than the profit that we are making through it. Then efficient and centralized recall mechanism, rather than having 38 drug regulation, we should have a nationalized central and an efficient recall mechanism with the legal responsibilities, with the legal backing. So certain laws have to be also be maintained. Then licensing by a single national regulator, rather than focusing on the products as a drugs in the market. In each of the stages of the process, or in each of the stages or the processes of the drug manufacturing, we should have proper licensing by unbiased national regulators without any corruption. Then what? Eliminating the substandard drug from the market must be considered as a motto. Then only we will be able to regulate this kind of drugs from being sold illegally in the market also. Okay, so these kind of points we can keep it in the mind as such. Moving on to the next topic. In the new Quad meet with US, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Novel discusses about infrastructure plans in Gulf. So what happened is that Saudi Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman MBS, he hosted a special meeting of the National Security Advisors. From India, it was Ajit Doval, and the US and the UAE in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So the meeting is to consider some kind of a regional initiatives with respect to infrastructural perspective, and also how we can strengthen the relationship and different economic and political ties between the countries in a way, so that we will be having much more better growth and stability in the region. Here, we should understand in a UPSC perspective what is called as a Quad. What is a Quad? Here you should understand that Quad is a grouping of 4 democracies, that is India, Australia, here we can see Japan, and also US. So Quad means, as a number indicate 4, right? 4 democracies are joining together: India, Japan, Australia, and US. What is their aim? Its aim is to ensure a free, open, and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. And in 2017, India, Australia, and US and Japan formed this quadrilateral coalition as such also. Okay. Now, so what are the opportunities for India under this Quad? So countering China in maritime space, we can see that China, especially in the Southeast Asian countries or Southeast Asian seas, China is having very aggressive maritime policies, and also they are having a kind of aggressive expansionary policies in the maritime sphere itself. So such kind of a democracies or high potential powers coming together is a threat against the China's or countering China's maritime aggressiveness. Then emerging as a net security provider, collective action, humanitarian assistance, and disaster relief, monitoring, shipping, etc. What are the challenges that we have to focus? Undefined strategic version we need to have. Quad is actually coming as a maritime kind of a grouping rather than the kind of a land-based grouping, because everything is based on ocean, Pacific Ocean, Southeast Indian Ocean. So we can say that it is all based on a oceanic or a maritime grouping rather than a land-based kind of a grouping. India's version of an alliance system. India already said that we will not have any kind of a alliance with anyone. We will be always forming a non-alignment kind of a system. So here, Western countries, especially the US, want themselves to be considered as superior with respect to others. But India stands as a kind of a very non-aligned, as an independent, supreme potential power, as a growth, or as an ambitious country. We can see that attitude of India as being a non-aligned system, it's slowed down our engagement into the Quad aspects. But overcoming the challenges, what are the way forward that we can come up? We can clear the framework explained in the Indo-Pacific vision. Indonesia, Singapore, such kind of a potential countries can also be invited to join in the future, developing India's clear vision for Indo-Pacific regions, Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean, that is including of military exercises and non-military economic ties also. Okay, so keeping that in the mind, let us proceed further towards the next topic. High Court does not have power to direct changes to scheduled tribes to CJA. So yesterday we discussed about what is the violence that is happening in the Manipur. So here, what happened is that a single judge bench of the Manipur High Court, what they said is that it directed the state government to consider the case of the petitioners for inclusion of the Meitei community in the scheduled tribe list. So what the High Court said? High Court said the state government should consider including the Meitei community into the scheduled tribe list within 4 weeks from the date of receipt of a copy of this order from the High Court. So it is a bit ironical because Chief Justice Chandrachud orally said that a High Court does not have the power to direct changes in the scheduled tribes list. According to our constitution, High Courts do not have any right to instruct the state governments. Neither the court nor the state government has the power to include a particular group into the state into a scheduled tribe list. So who has the power? It is a presidential power. Only the Honorable President of India has the power or to designate a scheduled caste or a scheduled tribe into the official list also. Not only that, he said already a 2000 constitution bench verdict was already there that courts cannot add or subtract any kind of a tribes or a group from the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe list. Even courts, neither the state governments directly cannot do that. How it should be done? It should be done by the president also. Suppose if I want to add a kind of a tribal group into a list, means president will consult the governor and the governor has to recommend the name to the president. So it is coming directly under the presidential power and it is given under Article 342(1). So what is that article say? The president may, with respect to any state or union territory and where it is a state, after consultation with the governor, therefore by public notification, specify the tribes or tribal communities or parts of groups within tribes or tribal communities which shall for the purpose of this constitution be deemed to be scheduled tribes in relation to that state or union territory as the case may be. So this is what Article 342(1) says. So clearly what this Justice Chandrachud said is being given in the constitution itself, Article 342(1). So don't forget about that also. Now let us move on to the question of the day. The Quad, also known as the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, is a strategic forum comprising of 4 countries, India, Japan, Australia and the US. Which of the following statements is or are correct about the Quad? Okay, so we can say that the Quad's only aim is to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific region. The Quad was first initiated in 2017 by US with other 3 countries joining later. The Quad has been met with resistance from China, whose views it is a containment strategy against its rights. So here we can see what is the answer. 1 only, 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. What could be the answer? Yes, friends, you can pause the video and comment your answers in the comment section. Yes, please. Okay, now let us go for explanation of this answer. So we can see that the Quad's only aim it is being given. No, it is not the Quad's only aim. It is only one of the key aim of the Quad. But generally we can see that it is not the only aim of the Quad is to promote a free and the open Indo-Pacific. We already discussed what are some of the objectives of the Quad. It is not the only aim, but it is only one of the key aim of a Quad. The Quad was first initiated in 2017 by US. No, it was not initiated by US. By Japan was the country which initiated that, where other countries joined later. Then the Quad has met with resistance from China. That is true. China already said that the Quad is a kind of a containment strategy that other countries like US, Australia and Japan and India are weaving against the China as a containment strategy. Yes, we had resistance from China against this Quad also. So we can see that the correct statement which is there is only 1 and 3. Okay, so option okay, so I think yes, such an option is not given, so 3 only is the correct answer. Okay, so I am just changing the option, so you can go with option A. So only the statement 3 is the correct about the Quad. Okay, so yes, that is all about the question of the day. So I hope today's current affair is like enough for you. Like everyone understood the topic. As I already said, we will be going with very few topics, but we'll be trying to include or inculcate a mains kind of an analysis with each particular topic, so that you'll be getting much more broader idea and understanding further about the same. Okay, so unless and until we meet next time, this is Prince J signing off. Thank you.